Recording in progress.
Hi, my name is Lee, and I'll be talking about environmental and social governance laws of company business perspective. Steadily rising societal expectations are pushing companies put their stakeholders first and shareholders second. Stakeholder theory states that the market value of an enterprise largely depends on the ability to meet stakeholder requirements. Only companies responsible to all stakeholders can develop sustainably. In contrast, shareholder theory proposes that a company's sole goal is to maximize shareholders' interests. Shareholders are now looking at environmental, social, and governance issues when investing. In the absence of regulation, companies have no incentive to improve their ecological, environmental, and social goods, as such plans can take substantial time to produce uncertain returns. On the one hand, the public shares the benefits of ecological governance, while on the other hand, the company bears the costs. However, when the social fabric is torn, a company's ability as a producer of services and goods is compromised. Traditional economic theory states that rational investors assess risks and choose investment portfolios that maximize returns. Agency theory states that a corporate executive is an employee of the business. They have direct responsibility to conduct the business to make as much money as possible. Shareholders accept the risk of doing business and in return receive residual profits. The corporation is therefore seen as a solution. When the owners of production must make investment decisions, for fear they will not be rewarded. Steward shareholders can benefit companies by reducing stock price volatility, focusing on long-term stock returns, and by identifying effective stakeholder management initiatives. The media is a critical disseminator in the capital market, reducing information asymmetry. Managers can make changes to their governance practices and train their corporate messages on ways to attract and retain steward shareholders. Additionally, imposition of regulatory constraints will require a firm as well as its competitors to carry out socially beneficial actions. In New Zealand, under Section 131 of the Companies Act 1997, a director of a company must act in good faith and in what the director believes to be the best interest of the company. The 2023 Amendment Act clarifies that directors may consider matters outside of the maximization of profit, such as environmental, social, and governance issues, when determining whether a decision is in the best interest of the company. Shareholders can also bring derivative or representative actions under Section 165, 171, and 173 if a company fails to comply. Businesses should be interested in promoting earlier and effective social investment to reduce the need to fund social support later, as beneficial actions may reduce a firm's business expenses by an amount greater than the cost of the actions themselves. Socially beneficial actions could also provide a competitive advantage over less adaptable firms by differentiating goods and services, improving a company's reputation and goodwill. Investors are willing to accept lower financial returns for longer in exchange for the psychic and societal benefits. Furthermore, firms may choose to go beyond full compliance with environmental, health, or safety laws in order to improve their position in current or future regulatory environments. Internationally, it has been recognized that there are leadership organizations or brokerages that can successfully channel business investment to deliver the most effective impact and outcome. Countries with civil law systems also tend to place a greater emphasis on employee representatives and loyalty to employees, which leads to higher productivity and job satisfaction. Environmental and social factors may serve as proxies for management quality and risks that are hard to observe directly. Corporate social responsibility, or CSRs, highlights the criticality of government intervention, as companies may ignore issues that matter to ordinary citizens who don't hold shares and aren't representative in capitalism. Businesses don't have to be a zero-sum industry, as industry competitors do not have to compete with each other, but improve industry standards by sharing best practice. However, one argument that can be made against CSR is that it is not a democratic process. There is no reason to believe that society should prefer a firm's choices and priorities to that of a democratic government. Similarly, an investor can only sell shares if someone else buys. Divestment doesn't deprive a polluting company of capital and nothing changes. Companies that participate in costly CSR activities will have to raise prices, reduce wages, and other costs, except in smaller profits. The narrative-first approach does more to attract shareholders by telling people what they want to hear rather than the long-term business vision. Furthermore, the use of scores or ratings to measure ESG disclosure is controversial, as rated agencies vary greatly. Despite these criticisms, it can be argued that a business has a moral commitment to hold themselves to higher ethical standards and to engage in activities that benefit society. In this context, CSR should be viewed as a complement to increasingly effective government regulation. Even though ESG information is intangible and thus not priced in by the market, it is still relevant for investors. In 2015, Volkswagen admitted that about 11 million cars worldwide, including 8 million in Europe, allowed engines to emit nitrogen oxide pollutants up to 40 times above what is allowed in the US. This resulted in the company posting its first quarterly loss in 15 years of 2.5 billion euros, with VW recording millions of cars worldwide at a cost of 6.7 billion euros. In 2015, it was revealed that ANZ and Westpac's KiwiSaver Growth Fund had holdings in Northrop Grumman, which made anti-personnel mines. ANZ's Growth Fund had invested in General Dynamics, which makes custom emissions. Even though each make up only a small portion of the fund's total investments, they have been excluded by the NZ Super Fund. Kiwibank, which uses negative screening to weed out armament makers, wants none of the NZ Super Fund's excluded companies. In contrast, Brakman Food Co. is a New Zealand startup making sustainable gluten-free yogurt with coconut. In 2016, Brakman Food Co. sponsored 14 permaculture beehives around NZ for Kiwi families. Also, yogurt jars made from up to 92% recycled glass with an infinite life cycle. Finally, fair wage policy, where employees' starting rates in the company is set at 10% above the NZ minimum wage. Additionally, Air New Zealand is aiming for net zero emissions by 2050. They aim to achieve this with sustainable aviation fuel, next generation technology, and carbon efficiency. Supporting sustainable packaging, innovation, and new recycling infrastructure to ensure that packaging and products can be reused or recycled in a circular economy. Sustainable tourism that actively encourages travelers to experience New Zealand in a way that keeps everyone safe, protects the environment, and respects the culture of future generations. Additionally, high productivity and wages for US natives are significantly correlated with higher diversity. Diversified consumption and production of consumer goods and services. As employees bring in new talents and trades. Cities may experience an increase in average wage from a positive economic shock, attracting more immigrants. In conclusion, companies designing ESGs must balance the interests of stakeholders and shareholders alike. Just because the legal system may allow companies to maximize profits at the expense of society, social interests, does not mean that they can do so on a sustainable basis. Shareholders can act as stewards, encouraging companies to act in the best interests of society while holding them accountable for future generations. Companies, in turn, will benefit in the face of competitive pressures by diversifying their products and services, increasing revenue and goodwill. Stakeholders, shareholders can all benefit from ESGs. My name is Martin Lee. Thank you for seeing through my presentation.